Welcome. This is just an amazing turnout, honestly. We, especially given everything that's been going on in the region, we weren't sure how things were going to turn out at ArabNet this year, but delighted to see so many people coming out, especially for a developer day, it being the first time that we're running something of the sort. So I want to welcome everyone who's come from all over the region to attend this day. First, I wanted to say a few words. I'm going to keep them brief, especially since we're running late. One word, most of the day is going to be running in parallel sessions, so this is about as squeezed as you're going to get. So moving forward, it's going to be more comfortable. ArabNet is the leading conference for the Arab web and mobile industry. Our vision is to grow the industry by being a forum for executives to meet and build new business relationships, and a platform for entrepreneurs to launch their startups and ideas. Last year, the event was held for the first time here in the Habtour, where we are, almost 1 year ago exactly. And I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces, which is awesome. And we had over 500 people who came to the event, 45 speakers from 13 countries. We had over 10,000 tweets, and we were a global trending topic on Twitter, which we were really excited about. And we had 20 entrepreneurs who pitched their ideas and startups, many of whom have since gotten funding or have grown their businesses and are cash flow positive, and that's really exciting to see the impact that we've been able to have. After we did the event last year, we realized that a lot of entrepreneurs couldn't come to us because of visas, because of difficulties in payments. So what we decided to do is actually we launched the ArabNet Roadshow. We hopped on a bus and we traveled around the region. We went to 7 different countries. And in each country we stopped and we held workshops to train and inspire entrepreneurs to start their own businesses. Can I have actually a quick show of hands, anyone who attended an ArabNet workshop anywhere around the region? Awesome. So great, and maybe we can see, I can see at least Dubai there, Saudi here. Anyone who Jordan? Anyone Syria? Awesome. Anyone Saudi? All the Saudis in the front. Anyone Doha? Did I see a hand back there? No, okay. Cairo? Yes, awesome. Great, so the point of this was to really be able to go out and connect with entrepreneurs in the communities that they live in, and to really get them excited about entrepreneurship, and to connect them with role models and business professionals and people who can advise them and support them in their communities to start their own businesses. So here we are today at the culmination of our year. We have a 4-day event planned this year, first time. It's a marathon for us, and for you, I hope it's going to be amazing. Today's the first day. It's a developer day. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. The next 2 days after this will be the conference. We have over 100, actually exactly 104 speakers coming for the course of the 4 days. We had yesterday, just to give you a sense, 140 people who registered just last night, leading the final number we have registered to attend the event to 974 people. So apologies for any challenges that we're having in terms of registration. It's beyond what we expected, and we hope that you'll be patient with us. And then after the 2-day event, we have a community day. The community day is targeted towards the community to raise awareness about what's going on in digital and to give people some basic training. Now, the developer day. This is what we're all here for. This is really the first time that we're doing such a thing, and I think it may be the first time that so many development companies are coming together under one roof. I mean, I know that people have attended the Google Days or Microsoft activities or even Yahoo Developer Network activities, but today you will meet people from Google, from Yahoo, from Microsoft, from a host of amazing regional and companies that are development houses. They're going to be talking to you about a range of different subjects. So why a developer day? The reason why we wanted to do a developer day is because we feel that you, engineers, developers, designers, you guys are building the web. It's not me. I'm a business guy. I can sell the web. But you are building the web. So we wanted to make sure a couple of things. One, we wanted to make sure you were equipped with the best training, knowledge of the most cutting-edge trends that were going on in the market. And the second thing, we wanted to connect you with each other. And we wanted to encourage you to come attend the event so that we could connect you with business professionals and that you could have synergies with these people to build really interesting web companies. So that brings me to my last point, which is what is in store for today. The day is very rich. We're starting off with a panel on mobile. We believe the whole conference, actually, there's going to be a focus on two things, mobile and social. We really believe that those are two things that are becoming integrated into all products and all startups, and everything that's going on right now in the web space is mobile and social. And local is the third trend. And so we're going to kick off with a panel on mobile, different perspectives from for a developer perspective. After that, we're going to have 2 sessions. We're going to be splitting into parallel sessions. We're going to have talks that are introducing you to different platforms. So we'll have starter talks for Django and Ruby on Rails for someone who wants to get into one of these languages who's never worked with them. So I think this would be a nice way to learn about they're pretty hot languages right now. The second thing, we're going to have Google and Microsoft giving talks about HTML5, which is an extremely relevant issue today. After that, we have a short break, and then we have 8 talks, of which you get to choose 4. The talks are covering a range of different subjects. There's a talks on front end, so user interface, Yahoo user interface, and user experience and interface. We've got talks on the development process, so one on development process more generally, and one on game development more particularly. We've got 2 panels on building mobile apps. 2 talks on building mobile apps. One on Appcelerator, which is cross-platform. One specifically for Apple technology. And then the last, we're going to have talks on kind of cutting-edge things that are happening, specifically hacking the Connect, which is hardware stuff, and cloud computing. Finally, after we have the lunch, we're going to have more in-depth, hands-on things that we're going to be doing. One track will be running a competition, which is called the 1-hour hack. The 1-hour hack is going to be where you have the opportunity to demonstrate your skills. We're going to be giving you an assignment, and you get 1 hour to build the assignment. And we have judges from all the different platforms who will be scoring you, so you can feel free to use the platform that you're most comfortable with, the language that you're most comfortable with. And then afterwards, we're going to have a sprint, which is a sprint, unlike a competition, a sprint is like collaborative. We're going to see how we can work together to build things that are available for the public that are improving the Arabic web. So maybe there's some CMS that doesn't have really great Arabic functionality. A group of people might get together and work together on improving the Arabic functionality for the CMS. And on the other side of things, we're going to have, so this is one parallel track, and the other track will have a tutorial by Microsoft and a tutorial by Google, letting you really get hands-on experience, in-depth discussions about their technologies. So that wraps up the outline of the day. Again, welcome. I'd like to invite my panelists now to join me on the stage so we can kick off our discussion on mobile. Thank you. Just as a quick show of hands, how many people here have a smartphone? Pretty impressive. How many people here have a tablet? Okay, pretty good. Awesome. So it's my pleasure to present our panel on mobile platforms. I've got with me today Mr. Ghassan Chahine, who is the platform strategy lead for Microsoft for Lebanon and Near East, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. Is that NEPA? We've got Mr. Gilles Fayad, who's the Director of Value-Added Services for Middle East and Africa at Qualcomm. If you don't know Qualcomm, they are the ones behind R&D in 3G and 4G technology. We've got Mr. Rob Jonas, the VP and Managing Director for Europe and the Middle East of InMobi. And InMobi is the largest independent mobile advertising network. Is that correct? Yes. Awesome. And we've got Mr. William Kanaan, who is New Business Development Manager for the MENA at Google. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the mobile space. So first I wanted to ask everyone to give us a sense of the Arab app market, or Arab mobile market. What's going on? What's the status? How big is the market? Who wants to kick off? Gilles, you want to kick us off on this?
I think William had a good perspective on numbers.
Yeah, let's give the audience some numbers about what's going on in this space.
So MENA has great opportunities in terms of mobile. First of all, you have better infrastructure. I'm not totally satisfied with the current infrastructure, but I would say that infrastructure is getting better, and it's not homogeneous across MENA. You have better infrastructure in the GCC countries. It's okay in like North Africa, getting better. Most of the operators have now 3G. Unfortunately, we still don't have 3G here in Lebanon. Also, I believe Iraq don't have 3G. So last year, for instance, talking about mobile stats, search from mobile amounts to 10% of total search for Google. There's 200% growth in search, mobile search. So this is huge. So different people are signing up for data plans. We discovered that when operators lower the data plan cost, like which becomes affordable, there is always a huge spike in search from mobile. So this is something that we need to encourage for all the operators across MENA. We need to encourage operators to come forward with an affordable data packages, affordable bundles, so people can use data. A lot of people actually still don't know what data is. Why do I need a data plan? What's the data plan? A lot of people have smartphone devices, but they don't use the data. Like, they don't actually know what that means.
Rob, maybe you can give us some sense of, in terms of the app market. How much are people downloading?
So yeah, I can give you a bit of perspective on that. One thing just to highlight first is, so as you mentioned in the intro, we have a very large mobile ad network. We've got a lot of data running through about 30 billion ad requests a month, of which about 1 or 2 billion are in the Middle East region today. And what we can obviously see is we can see very changing usage of mobile devices, mobile applications. So to give you some data points around that, which are interesting, if you look at smartphones in general globally, the number of impressions on our network, which is pretty representative of the market overall, doubled in the last 3 months globally. So that's phenomenal growth in smartphone usage and smartphone ad impressions. And globally, about 16 to 20% of this is coming from applications today. So a relatively large percentage coming purely from applications. Now, again, remember this is global data, and the history of our business is we grew up in Asia, so we have a huge bias towards the Asia-Pacific region. But even with that bias, about 20% is coming from applications today. If we look at the Middle East specifically, we're seeing very, very strong growth in our network. So in the last 3 months, we've seen about 25% growth in ad impressions and inventory usage on our network just in the Middle East region. About 70% of this, based on last month's data, is coming from smartphones. And on a platform breakout, about 50% of this is coming from Nokia, and you guys know all this because you know your market well. About 50% is coming from Nokia, but about 30% in our network is now coming from Apple platforms, iOS platforms. And that piece has been going through phenomenal growth in the last 3 months. And then the Android platform is coming up very quickly and is currently running at about 6 or 10% today across the region. So as a proxy for app downloads and app usage, what we're seeing is very, very strong growth on smartphones in general, globally, smartphones specifically in the region, and we're seeing a very, very strong shift towards Apple platforms and Android platforms for app developers, specifically in the Middle East region.
I want to ask, do we know if people are buying apps? Are people spending money to buy apps?
I've seen data recently specifically on this region which does show historically a strong bias towards free apps as opposed to paid apps. But I think it's changing very quickly. Again, the room will know, pretty well that there are challenges to creating a paid application platform in some markets in the Middle East. But I think that's changing very, very quickly, specifically with efforts coming out of Google and Android. But I think with also third-party platforms as well, which are making that transaction process a lot easier.
Interesting. I think that I was scanning through the Mary Meeker report. Does anyone here know Mary Meeker? She's a very important analyst, and she analyzes the web industry. If you want to know what's going on in the web, you can read Mary Meeker's most recent reports. But she had these awesome graphs about showing how app monetization has gone from purchase of apps or paid apps to in-app advertising and in-app purchases. So this is an interesting trend that I think is happening in the market.
Yeah, adding to what you just said, Android market is available in all MENA countries to be distributed on devices, but for free apps.
And this launched just like last week.
A few weeks ago, yeah.
A few weeks ago, right? So we now have Android app market in the region. Awesome. Great. Anyone want to add anything?
Well, just looking at the region, I mean, not going over numbers, but just from a qualitative perspective, we don't realize how much the region is innovative and how much it is at the forefront. We tend to think of MENA potentially as lagging behind. The number one mobile broadband community in the world is Saudi Arabia. Without Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, I don't think you would have seen the kind of changes you're seeing in the region. These are things that play have a lot of weight, and we need to realize that we can be innovative and we are in the forefront. Social networking is part of our DNA.
So actually that's a great segue into what I wanted to ask actually you next, which is talking about the future and the potential in innovation, coming from one of the companies that's working really at the cutting edge of innovation. What do you expect to see both in platforms and in apps? What's going to be new? I mean, we've seen, we had smartphones, then we had these tablets that have taken the world by storm. What's next?
Well,
or if you want to talk about applications, right? We're seeing things like near-field communication. Tell us what your perspective is on the future of the mobile platform.
One thing that is ripe really for the region as well is something that is just nascent right now, which is called augmented reality. So it is basically the ability to augment your real world with virtual information, whether it's superimposed on the screen or whether it allows you to manipulate objects in 3D through the real environment. I think people don't realize the potential of this technology. The market will be from a technology that is just nascent right now. By 2015, this will be $2 billion in revenues. It has potential in advertising, in education, in many different areas. And more importantly, if you think about what made big companies like Nokia first, it was the user interface. Apple and Android, it was basically the user interaction with the device. Augmented reality has the potential to bring the user immersion into the environment he is in, providing the user with all the data he needs. Just think of opening a newspaper, pointing your phone to it, and having the latest data live in video and animated, etc., up to date. It doesn't need to be stuck with one platform. It crosses boundaries. So just give it a thought from that perspective.
Are we seeing anything related to augmented reality here in the region?
We are starting to see quite a few efforts, and most of them has been around advertisement, location, and education around basically either services provided by some companies or products. And quite frankly, the region is very active in that space.
Okay, just adding one piece of data to what Gilles said here is in Saudi Arabia is number one in the world in terms of mobile video playbacks for YouTube. Number one worldwide.
So, well, I have a question for you about the same question, which is to say, what's at the cutting edge, right? Eric Schmidt made a big announcement about near-field communication. Osama there now shifted from PayPal to Google. There's something being cooked in the Google payments platform. What can you tell us? Can you give us a little hint?
So yeah, I mean there's nothing to hide here. We already launched. There is operator billing in the U.S. and Japan, and it started U.S. and Japan, and I'm sure it's coming to other markets in the near future.
What is it?
Operator billing.
Operator billing.
Yeah.
Operator billing. Okay.
Meaning.
Tell us more about operator. I think we have a question about what is operator billing.
So basically, operator has been actually complaining about they're not part of the equation where like people download stuff from the app store, from different app markets, and the operators have no rev share. They're not part of the whole chain here. They're not part of the equation. Now, we're integrating our platform with their system, and then people they have a share of the pie here.
Just to add to,
Please, go ahead.
To what William was saying, essentially one of the differences that we have in the region versus, I would say, the Western world, quote unquote, between the US and Europe is that we are an open market mostly, meaning people buy their phone and the phone don't get subsidized by the operators. So from that perspective, everybody is competing for the end user, the operator, the service provider, and the OEM, which doesn't help much build a value-added services infrastructure, because everybody is basically, it brings a very fragmented landscape. This initiative and other initiatives that we are seeing in terms of operators building their own ecosystem, or at least their own ecosystem developers community, seeing the value in applications and the value in applications and services for the retention and the acquisition of users, is very encouraging, because this will allow us basically to align all the players to provide basically a streamlined offering from that perspective.
I agree. Like, we have one of the challenges we have here in this market and all the emerging markets is it's mainly a retail market for smartphones or phones in general. So what does that mean? You buy your phone from a store, and then you go and then buy a SIM card from the operator, and then basically the operators here are just SIM card sellers one way or another. Some of them started having they own the experience of the device. If in Europe, in the US, it's totally different. In Japan, you go to a retail store for the Orange or for like Verizon or AT&T, and you buy the device with a data plan, or with the phone plan, with the voice and data plan, and they own the experience of the device in terms like they distribute, they flash the device with a bunch of applications and so forth. So you go and then play with the device. You like it. It has, nice interface. It has the applications that you need. It has the platform you want, and so forth. And we don't have here. So this is part of the challenges in all emerging markets. But I guess now I think some of the operators in MENA are trying to bridge this gap. But
I think, Rob, you have something to say? Sorry, and I want to just make sure we keep the focus here on developers, right? We don't want to talk about, I know the mobile operators are important, but these guys are developers. Tell me about that.
So yeah, exactly on that point. So I'm not sure there's any operators in the room, so should we be slightly careful. But I mean, we speak to developers all the time, and historically one of the challenges, specifically in this region, is actually the way that operator revenue share agreements have been set up in the past. So getting money out of operators into developers has been a slow and time-consuming process. The percentage which actually goes to the developer is relatively low. And what we're seeing in markets all around the world is actually developers saying, well, we don't want to play that game anymore. We want to make money in other ways. So yes, operator billing is one way to make money from the application, but obviously I'm biased. I'm going to say that advertising is a great option, but there's many, many other ways in which the developer can build a comprehensive suite of monetization options which are not overly reliant on carrier billing, because that has been a barrier in the past.
Yeah. So far there's I can name 4 ways. When you upload an application into one of the app stores, you can upload it for free. You can upload it with a freemium model where basically the basic version is for free, and then if people want additional premium features, then they have to pay for it. There's the paid app, and there's the app that you get basically money from selling ads.
Okay, just another quick straw poll. How many people here develop on Microsoft technologies? How many people here have developed for Apple iOS? How many people here have developed for Android? Okay, so I think the biggest audience we have here is actually Microsoft. Which actually I did a straw poll earlier, and it seemed.
Did you ask about Symbian?
Oh, you're
what
right.
About Symbian?
Oof. I think my friend.
Symbian?
How many people here develop for the platform that no longer exists? I'm teasing you. No, but Akis, what we're here to talk about, we got Windows Phone 7, right? And that's what we're going to maybe talk about next. So I want to understand, in terms of developers developing, we've got a very vibrant ecosystem that Apple has built around its apps. People are making a ton of money. I mean, I think I read something recently that said Apple's paid out $1 billion to developers. And how are Windows and Microsoft and Google going to compete with this extremely vibrant ecosystem that Apple has built?
When it comes to Microsoft, I think that we have built a great application, and we have built a great mobile device, which is the Windows Phone 7. It has been built from scratch, ground up, and we got tremendous feedback regarding this device. We have in 2 weeks we have sold like 2 million. Actually, in 2 months we have sold 2 million devices, and we have at the apps we have a marketplace that is like we have until now we have 30K developers registered for the marketplace and 10,000 apps. So which is I think which is good.
But you're playing catch up. How are you going to catch up, right? You have to be going a lot faster in order to be able to get to where Apple is.
Yeah,
right?
but we're working actually
What
on.
strategies are you using? What are you offering these guys?
We're offering the tools, the tools, the development tools. We're offering. Actually, we're working on a strategy that is slow, but measured and structured.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yes, your turn.
Google perspective. So, for just another stat here about whether we're catching up with Apple or not. First of all, I want to say like this is it's not necessarily as Eric Schmidt said, it's not about the phone, the device. It's not about the platform. It's mainly about the ecosystem. Android-wise, we on a daily basis, there is over 300,000 Android activations a day worldwide. So this is way more than the I don't know now Apple maybe 200 or 250,000. I'm not exactly sure about the figure, but so those numbers have tripled from last year. In terms of the apps, we have now something like 150,000 apps. So we're catching up. So Android is not Google. Android is an open platform. There's Open Handset Alliance. There is tens of carriers building devices based on Android. There is so the platform is open. Anyone can develop for the platform. The device architecture is open. Anyone can also build a device based on Android. This is what we believe.
Great. I wanted to just quickly ask Rob something.
Yeah.
We're talking about, and everyone knows that the Android platform is growing exponentially. Yeah. But is the money growing exponentially on Android?
So that's a good question. So to answer that, you have to get into the economics of how advertisers are thinking, which is always a challenge, especially if you're talking about ad-supported platforms. I would say probably 6 or 9 months ago, advertisers were very simple. They were thinking, I want to effectively buy an audience on an Apple device or on everything else. And what you've seen in the last probably 6 months is advertisers in all regions starting to think about targeting or reaching users on Android devices. And they use that because Android users behave in certain ways. They have a certain affinity towards certain kinds of advertising. They perform in a certain way. I mean, overall, smartphones perform very well with advertising formats. So advertisers are starting to think about that now, which is great for developers because it means there's more and more money flowing into the advertising ecosystem.
Sorry,
Sorry,
go ahead.
I actually had a question as well. I don't know whether you're going to ask this, but you asked about what platforms people in the room have been developing on historically. I'd be interested to know about what they're planning on developing going forward.
Let's ask that question. So, forget about what you've been developing on. What would you like to develop on in the next year?
Or what do you have to develop on in the next year?
What do you have to develop on in the next year? What do you feel like you have to develop on? Let's start again with the one that's not in the room, Apple.
Okay. Android? Oh, look at that. Windows Phone 7. I will not forget Symbian this time. Symbian.
BlackBerry? What about BlackBerry?
BlackBerry? Oh, we've got some BlackBerry people.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Okay. Well, I think that there's a clear, good question. Thank you.
No one else in the room could see where the hands went up, so.
Right. Awesome. Gilles, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to say something because from a Qualcomm perspective, I don't know if you guys know, but we basically build chipsets that go into phones. These are the chipsets that run the phone. And so from both a Microsoft or a Google perspective, we are very much in a strong position to look into the ecosystem and how we can help improve something that William touched upon, which is also the user experience. Because at the end of the day, if you're developing for Android and for Apple, it is because of the breadth of the market they are providing you, the tools, and the user experience they are allowing. You don't have to build that user experience. It's built into the platform you're developing for. And the user experience is what makes the application, it's what makes the platform, it's what makes the value of the phone today. It is the user experience. So from that perspective, for example, we are, all the Windows 7 phones that have launched today are on Qualcomm. From an Android perspective, we are the single provider for all segments of phones because Android covers not only the high-end smartphones, but the segmentation within the smartphones that allow you to go deep into essentially the phone segmentation and capture more of the volume of users. By 2014, 40% plus of these phones will be smartphones. And then you have the other piece, which is basically the smart, smart usage phones, which are feature phones that mimic smartphone in functionality, where basically you take the top apps and you make them run on feature phones, and they're good for price-sensitive people. These as well represent 50% of the market, and they are something not to ignore today for you guys. So you don't need to follow. Again, you can lead. You can lead in terms of the market, the localization of the application for the market. We are launching certain apps in the market that have been the first to launch in the world. The region, we have launched, for example, mobile health applications in the region at 2 operators in North Africa and in the GCC. These are the first applications to launch in the world. So we don't have to be in a mentality where we want to be a me too. You can lead the region, and you need to differentiate. And to differentiate, you need the user experience. And to get that user experience, you need to be able to exploit the capacities of the platform, whether software or hardware, to maximize really the attractiveness of your application and the service behind it, with cloud computing to help.
So I think it's, I actually think that user experience this is one of the things that I'm very passionate about. We have 2 sessions on user experience today. And the reason why, for a couple of reasons. One, I believe that mobile devices, I agree with you very strongly, have reminded us of the value of the user interface. Now people are willing to pay for content on a device because it has a really friendly user interface. It's convenient and it's beautiful. But the other thing is,
touch on many things, huh?
Yeah, no. The user interface, I was saying. Reinvented. It doesn't matter. So the last question really is, so we've got Apple. They've got a really close sync between their hardware and their software. And that means, for me as a developer, if I'm building for an Apple platform, I know exactly what I'm building for. If I'm a developer building for Windows Phone 7 or for Android, I've got so many different devices. And this kind of fragmentation makes it extremely difficult for me to build an app that works well on every single device. So what should I do, and how are you guys helping me do that, fix this problem?
Actually, it's not a problem for Microsoft because we have the Windows Phone 7. It's an OS. It works on the devices that runs Windows Phone 7. Let's say on LG, on Samsung. So we don't have this problem. You develop once, you code once, and you deploy on many devices running Windows Phone 7. So I don't think this is a problem for us.
Okay, so and the screen sizes and the differences and all.
We have the tools. We have the emulator. Once you work on your emulator, you don't have to change anything. You just deploy it on the device, and it works perfectly.
Okay.
So this is it's the same I would say the same thing about Google about Android, but you know when Android launched first, there was definitely like an OEM want to launch a Android device, and they want to add like an extra feature, and they just go and then build their own thing, and then it becomes like different from the main source tree of Android. Same thing like what people did here in the region. They launched their own Arabic version of Android, and then you have like 2 or 3 different versions of Android in the market. So this is definitely defragmentation is not good. We're actually getting better at it, and then it's more like getting conversions to have like a consistent platform.
Awesome. I actually remembered the other thing I wanted to say about user interface. So I think the other thing that's important is we are seeing more and more of the products that we use in our daily life are going to become computerized. And so I think really understanding how to make those devices friendly for humans is going to be an important thing. So that's the end of my questions. We got 20 minutes for your questions. So, yes. Hold on a second. Let's get a mic.
There you go. I have a question for William. Of course, you definitely have heard about the Amazon app market that they're launching pretty soon on the Android. How do you think that will benefit us as Arab developers in the region on the Android platform?
So definitely any new like this is a great feature for the region. I would say as long as you maintain a unified experience across devices, across the web and the phone, this is really key. The MENA region should benefit. I see when I mentioned earlier about the ecosystem, you know, like talking games, content, and music, apps, all those things, you know, that you have on the web, you should have on the device and on the mobile device. And I think MENA is not different from the Western market.
Question?
To answer that one, because I think there is a piece that is very specific to that your question made me think of, is the ebook market. Because this is and going back to Omar's question about what's next in terms of platforms, the tablets and the ability, what makes Saudi Arabia basically #1 for YouTube content download? It is the access to the content. And ebooks will provide this access to the content. I mean, from an Amazon perspective, they've sold more, in 33 months, they've sold more ebooks than they've sold hardcovers in 15 years. Okay? So don't underestimate, for the region, the capacity to digitize content, to publish it, and to distribute it online.
Can I just add as well? Sorry. So one of the top 3 challenges we hear from developers we speak to all the time is the discovery bottleneck, which is, I built my fantastic application, how do I get it out to market? Any new route which allows you guys to get your product out to market is, I think, a great thing. And you know, having seen a little insight into the platform which is launching, you know, Amazon are great retailers, they're great merchandisers, they know how to get stuff into people's hands in a very effective way. So I think net it's positive for the people in the room.
Also, I would like to also add that Microsoft has created, actually Microsoft Middle East and Africa has created Yalla Apps, yallaapps.com. It's like a it's a portal for developers, where instead of for people that doesn't have access to the marketplace, for the Arab world or for Middle East and Africa, you can access yallaapps.com and submit your Windows Phone apps to the marketplace.
Jeremy Foss from Ericsson. I was just wondering if you would advise our developers to focus on tablets or smartphones, which would it be? Tablets or smartphones?
Great question.
Both. Basically,
If you could choose one,
I carry a
if
tablet,
you choose one,
I carry a smartphone.
if they should focus, because we can't do everything.
Right.
If you would advise them to focus.
It depends on what you're developing, really.
Okay.
There are things that are better off on tablets and things that are better off on smartphones. If what you need is an application or a service that brings you mobility, pick the smartphone. If what you need is something that brings you readability, pick a tablet. Or basically even keyboard entry, pick a tablet. Yeah. That's my personal feedback.
Yeah, I would say both also.
Hold on. Okay, sure. Alex.
Sorry. Alex from Travian Games. My question is to the audience and also to the panelists. Is it of ultimate importance to develop applications in Arabic for this market?
Good question.
You wanna go ahead? Okay. So absolutely. Like, first of all, like we probably all heard that, hear this many times, that the Arab speakers in the world are like 5%, and the content, the Arabic content, is like 1%, about 1%. So definitely there is a gap, and I say a gap in terms mainly in terms of rich content. So you have a lot of when you do a search on the internet, on Google, or you see a lot of content that is not actually premium content, like when you search in English. So definitely Arabic content from like digitization initiatives are great. We want developers to build content-based applications, to build content on the internet, and content, I mean here rich content, video, games, applications, applications that leverage even the social graph, since social is all about, this conference is about social and mobile. So absolutely, Arabic content.
Okay, great.
And some, to give you some stats, like Egypt and Saudi, I believe it's about Saudi Arabia, people search about 80% more in like Arabic than English, and same in a little bit like less in Egypt, maybe 70 to 30. So it gives you an idea about how much Arabic is important in a lot of MENA countries. So when you want to do something for the region, definitely do it. Think of Arabic.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that all the platforms that we are launching in the region must support Arabic. And this is a requirement coming from the street and from the OEMs and the distributors. So there is a demand for it. It's not just deciding whether or not it's going to happen. There is a demand for it.
So the data we've seen actually shows a slightly more positive picture on mobile than it does on the web for the region. So we've looked at actually the Apple Store data, actually mainly in the GCC, and around something like 10 to 13% of apps in those stores are local in Arabic content, which I think is great and seems to be much better than the web. I don't know how that translates to Android, but we haven't got the data. But I think it needs to be more. And again, speaking from an advertiser perspective, who are putting money into the ecosystem, they want to be able to target these local applications. I think they are increasingly frustrated with huge amounts of international sites and applications having huge reach in the region, and they want to see more local content.
Okay. I want to get more questions in, so I'm going to ask my speakers to keep it as brief as possible, because we've got a ton of people who want to ask questions. So next question.
William, my question is regarding Google. Now we have a problem in the Middle East that on the Android market, we cannot download paid applications. And since you connect your phone to any data plan in the Middle East, you're not allowed to even hack into it by any way, connecting to VPNs. Recently, you guys have blocked all VPNs. We can't download any paid apps by any illegal way. So Amazon Market is not available for the Middle East. Amazon Market won't be available for the Middle East, according to Amazon.com. And we haven't seen any paid opportunities at Android Market, which makes my phone kind of disabled. I only have a few applications that I can download, and the applications I want, I have to either get illegal ways through torrents and all these things. So when do you think Google is going to give focus on the Middle East and allow us to buy applications?
Okay, thanks for the question. Definitely, there is Google. We're committed to the region, and I just announced that I just mentioned that a few weeks ago we made Android Market available in all MENA countries. So only for free apps. For paid apps, sorry, for paid apps, it's coming. I don't have a time frame to share with you, but definitely it's something in the works.
Okay, next question. I'm going to go to the back. Far back. Gentleman over there.
Thank you.
And by the way, I know guys, it's frustrating for developers, but it's in the works.
As the competition intensifies between the different platforms to give a better user experience, how does customer segmentation would work from their perspective? How would you create a better customer segmentation? What would stop a developer from trying to jump from one platform to another?
I'm not sure that I understand the question. Maybe you could.
I didn't understand.
As the competition intensifies towards, enhancing customer experience, from a customer segmentation, from a market segmentation point of view, how is that going to reflect and affect the developers?
So this is a kind of a fragmentation question, right? So are people going to be competing?
So
how are you guys going to? I mean, is the question how are you guys going to make developers develop on your platform? Okay. Well, this is it's a question that everyone wants to know. How are you going to win?
For Microsoft, I can say that since the marketplace is not open for in the region, Middle East and Africa, so we didn't want to wait until it comes and it arrives to Middle East and Africa. So we decided to create Yalla apps, and this way we are allowing the Arab developers and entrepreneurs to create their apps and submit it through this portal. So,
William?
I believe, honestly, Google first we believe in openness, and we believe competition is very good, because when you have competition, it challenged every one of us, and then we make better products. I believe choice is good. Like, you don't want to have like one car in the market. You just go buy Toyota or buy, Peugeot or whatever. You want to go and choose. Choice is good for the consumer. Of course, you don't want to have like 500 platforms to develop on, but you pick the top ones and the ones of your choice, and then develop for your market, or if you want to target the world, pick the platforms that are top platforms of your choice, and then develop for those platforms.
I think that actually we're going to have one session today about Appcelerator, which is kind of going to allows people to build cross-platform apps. I think this is something that's it's interesting to think about, and maybe even an opportunity for entrepreneurs. So I'm going to just take the next question back there, gentleman with the goatee. Maybe I've asked too many guys. Next one is going to be a girl.
So, excuse me, actually 2 questions. First of all, it's concerning the Appcelerator. So, you guys were asking us, as a developers, what would we like to develop on? But with now, we're starting to see Appcelerator, Kuni, and all these technologies that actually allow us to develop our code base for all of these platforms, and we don't have to compromise unless we are actually game developers where we have to access the lowest layers of graphics. So how are you guys gonna evade that? Because to us as developers, it's better for us to develop using HTML5 and then deploy it on all these applications, both as entrepreneurs and developers, because that way we have less man hours to actually produce the code and deploy it across all the platforms. I guess that's the first question. Second question.
What's the question there?
So the question, how are you guys gonna make sure that people are gonna stick and just use the native code of, let's say, Java to work on Android, and not jump ship and use HTML5 for all of these?
Does it matter to you guys if they use HTML5?
We encourage using HTML5.
So that's the answer to your question.
Okay, so I guess I'll add to that another question, which is, why would developers, from your standpoint, not all of us jump to HTML5 and do that?
Sorry, say that again?
Why would we not simply jump to HTML5 and not use any of the code base that has to be used, like Objective-C and stuff like that?
Well, I think that this the answer is essentially the same, which is, I think these guys want you to have your app on every one of their stores, and they wouldn't mind if you used not their native language. So by all means, go forth and conquer.
Second question. Sorry
Okay.
about that. So second question is that in Wired a couple of months ago they had an article where they said basically they proclaimed that the web is dead because everyone is now currently using apps to access information, to aggregate information and pull them. Now, it was a bit controversial, but is this true also for this area? We don't have numbers on that. Are like Arab people pulling more info using apps versus accessing websites to get their information? Thank you.
So,
okay.
Sorry, I can. Did you understand the question?
The question is, the web is dead, long live the internet, or something like this. Very right. So the question is, are apps killing the web? Are people using apps more to access content than?
It's all about user experience at the end. If you try to look at a website on the screen of a smartphone, it's not the same as when you look at it on the screen of your PC. So, or on a tablet. So from that perspective, you're getting the same information in a different format, in a different user experience. Mm-hmm. So it's not one killing the other, because it's still accessing the data that is on the web. And there are more and more applications in the region that are tapping into the available financial, news, weather, sports, etc. Content that is in the region, and basically building applications for that. And you should know that on the app stores that are in the region, the local content dwarfs the global content from that perspective, because it is content that is meaningful to the people in the region. And then again, localization is very important for that. People want to know about what's happening in their region. They don't care that much about what's happening somewhere else in the world. And so from that perspective, the apps are developed to tap into the local content. They need to be localized locally, and it's a huge market for developers here.
Yeah, so we see two dimensions. One is in some of the markets in which we operate, the mobile device is the primary or only access of means of access to the mobile internet or to the internet. So there, it's not a case of mobile cannibalizing PC web. It's nothing to cannibalize. It's allowing the internet to grow. The second, and that's certainly emerging markets. The second dimension we see is obviously built for mobile services. So, it'd be interesting to understand in the room, how many people access Twitter more from their phone than from the web.
How many people in the room access Twitter from their phone? How many people access it from the web?
So it's, from here it looks like 50-50.
No, I would say probably 60-40.
It's 40. The real number is 46% worldwide.
So there's for these services, it's not substitution or cannibalization. It's actually built for mobile. So two very different dynamics.
Yeah. So another question: how many female developers in the room? Raise your hands. Yes, awesome. Who wants to ask a question? Okay, there's a question right there.
Do you guys see? Is it on?
Yeah.
Do you
want to stand up?
No. Do you
okay.
see? Do you see app development for the tablet coming out of the region, and what kind of penetration rates for tablets guide your planning? So current estimates and then forward-looking. What do you guys see?
Development for the tablet. Are we seeing people building for the tablet in the region? Gilles seems to have an answer.
Yes, well, first, the first tablets that we are seeing right now are either iPad or basically Galaxy. These are the most common tablets in the region, which means it's either iOS or today it's an Android, not a pre-honeycomb environment, which means you can basically, it's a beefed up Android platform. So on both sides, people are developing, maybe not specifically for the tablets space, but they are certainly developing as well for the tablet space. Now we are seeing some applications that are being developed for the tablet space specifically. For example, on the ebook side, we have quite a few developers working on that, trying to develop the equivalent of ebook in Arabic. There is a company that developed something called Rufuf. Yes, absolutely. So there is development for tablets, and tablets are going to grow exponentially in the region.
Does anyone have any sense of how many tablets are being sold in the region? No. Okay. So I guess I can't help much with that. So, question, did someone have a question? Okay, I'm going to take two more questions.
Nadine.
Okay. Nadine,
Yes.
our friend from Nokia.
So no introductions needed. Okay, so I'm a bit biased in my question, but I have to ask.
Please, we want it.
And it's a question directed to developers and the panel. We hear a lot about smartphones and tablets, and the definition of a smartphone is questionable, right? What does it mean? What price band is it? Who buys it? You know, what's the upsell value of it? But my question is, what are, you know, in the panel and the developers doing for mid to low end? What are applications? Because that's where we think, you know, the money is. We think that this is mass over niche. And we want to know, and this is where Microsoft Nokia is going forward towards, just a little insight. And we want to know what you guys are thinking, because you can be thinking BlackBerry, you can be thinking iPhone, you can be thinking tablets, but really it's about, you know, show me the money, show me value, show me, show me volumes. And we all know who wins in all this. But again, what are you guys doing, and what is the panel?
So I want to ask you, can we rephrase that as a poll for the audience?
Yes.
Tell them, what's the question?
Okay, so the question is, how many people are targeting, how many developers are targeting low to mid-end devices in their application development versus a smartphone, versus augmented reality, versus etc.?
Low end.
So yeah.
Ooh,
yeah. So it's interesting, but again, I think that this is a question, you know, you need to keep in mind.
Well, you know, and I think that this is also a biased audience. So this is an audience who is...
Of course. For,
this is an audience where everyone has a smartphone, so everyone's building for other people who have smartphones.
Yeah, but again, this is a discussion, open to discussion later on. It's a topic, because we wonder ourselves at Nokia as well.
As a panelist.
So today, so this is a very good question. Today, in 2011, essentially, smartphones represent 25% of the total market of phones. By 2015, they will represent over 50%. Now, this begs the question as, from now until 2015, there is basically a 75 to 50, going down to 50% TAM of opportunity developing there. So someone mentioned Apple basically generated $1 billion revenues. Things that are not known, for example, and I'm not trying to preach for the choir, but Brew is a Qualcomm development environment for such feature phones, generated $3 billion. There is money to be made in feature phones.
Yeah.
There is a lot of money to be made in feature phones, and it is not difficult to develop for these phones. But it is not the same kind of environment that you are getting on the Android and on the iOS and the Windows 7 environment today.
Yeah, so
it's just to, sorry. It was just to answer also our colleagues here that asked the question. It is about targeting your market, targeting your audience, and knowing, you know, what your application is built for and who is it used by. So that's, you know, that's how to market and be different. Because when you ask the question, who's developing for Android, the whole room, you know, sprang up their hands. And I wonder about that. I question, so what makes you different? What's Android or Apple? You know, what makes you stand out? And worldwide, people are downloading. What makes you on the banners? What gives you the edge? And that's, you know, what you should be thinking of in the future.
I want to add something to what Gilles just said, that we shouldn't actually ignore that huge segment of the market in MENA and in emerging markets, which is the, I don't know, Gilles, did you say it's 50% feature phones? Or
today it is 25% smartphones, and it's going to be 50% by 2015.
Yeah, but no, about feature phones, still now.
Feature
it's
phones.
About 50%, right?
40%.
Yeah, so this is huge. You're talking about 40% of the market, feature phones. So we should not ignore it. We should address it. We should build something for those feature phones. So feature phones are, you know, people have those devices with some internet capability, limited internet capability, not like full experience like a smartphone. And one way to actually upgrade those people and give them a flavor of the internet experience on the device, on the mobile device, is to do something for this market. And we want to actually move those people to a smart device. So speaking of this, on a related note, is we are, not actually we, but OEMs have been introducing a cheaper, low-cost Android devices in many markets, such as India and Africa. I'm talking about devices, Android devices, for about $100. and you will be seeing actually even cheaper devices in the coming year or so. So this is going to be actually revolutionary in that sense.
Very, very quick point. You all saw Facebook bought a company called Snap2 on Sunday. They see huge potential in making Facebook services available on low and mid-end devices in emerging markets. I mean, for a company which is progressive and has been featured on high-end devices for a while, it's a pretty clear signal.
Excellent. Last question. We have a gentleman right here.
Mohammed Almir. My question is to Mr. William Kanaan. I'm surprised that nobody has addressed this question yet, and it's how come Android is still not supporting Arabic natively? Your developer phone, the latest one, Nexus S, does not support Arabic natively. We have to either get it from Samsung, or we have to void the warranty as soon as we get it and install some custom ROMs. And this is becoming a barrier to entry for users, and significantly reducing the number of users, which is also a barrier for developers not to develop for Android in this market.
I totally agree with you, and the answer to this question is working on it now. It's in the works, and I can't share with you any time when it's coming out, but you will see it.
Yeah, because when speaking or when recommending Android to others and saying this is a good platform, it's open and it solves a lot of questions. The first question I get asked, does it support Arabic? No. Yeah. Okay, then we're sticking with the iPhone.
Yeah. So there are developers in the region who are being approached by OEMs to Arabize the Android platform. So for example, the HTC phones are completely Arabized by one of the developers that is in the region. Samsung is doing the same. We're using another developer in the region. So it is something that is still being done after the fact, not coming from Google today. But as William said, Google is obviously working on this to fix it.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for our panelists. Thank you, everyone. Quick note before you. Okay, go ahead. Okay, so I think that's going to be the least technical talk we're going to have today. The rest of the day is going to be quite technical. We're going to have a coffee break for the next half hour, and then afterwards we have 2 talks, starter talks. The concept of a starter talk is, and the 2 starter talks are for Django and Ruby on Rails. If you've never worked with them, you get a chance to learn about, kind of dip your toes into one of these languages. Yes, so Django framework, sorry, not language, but framework. Sorry, I'm not a developer. I try. The other thing, right after that is Google and Microsoft talking about HTML5. So they'll be in these 2 rooms. This is, I believe, Hall A, and Hall B is the other hall. So enjoy. Thank you.